Good morning and welcome to the Killik & Co market update. This week we're looking at global water because we are seeing increasing instances of adverse weather conditions, and that's causing problems with too much or too little water across the world. For example, in Cape Town at the moment, they're currently experiencing the worst drought they've had for 100 years. There's been hardly any rain there for 3 years. And up until yesterday, residents were restricted to using just 87 litres of water per person per day. And yesterday that was restricted down further to 50 litres per day. And just to put that into context, using a shower for 2 minutes would take about 30 litres of water. Flushing a toilet would use between 5 and 15. So as you can imagine, the average person in the UK probably uses much more than 50 litres of water per day. And we're being told that day zero for Cape Town, which is when the town completely runs out of water, will happen on April the 21st this year. So that really is a huge concern. It's not just Cape Town. In Syria, for example, the country experienced a really severe drought that resulted in 75% of the country's farms failing, 85% of the country's livestock dying. So that really has caused huge ongoing problems. And then in Iran, we have seen protests recently against the government because of dry taps in cities and mismanagement of water. And even in Asia, that's the continent with the least fresh water per capita out of any continent in the world. So again, that is a huge concern. So lots of problems around the world with lack of water, but then in other areas we've got problems with too much water. So Paris, for example, severe flooding at the moment. A number of metro stations are closed. A number of famous museums are completely flooded. So a huge concern there. And then in the US last year, we had severe flooding following Hurricane Harvey. So we are really seeing more and more instances of adverse water conditions. And that's why we've started to look at water technology companies that do focus on water pumps and water filters. So we think the opportunity for this type of company is really increasing very quickly. So if you would like to discuss this further, please do give us a call and speak to your investment manager. This week we've learned that Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, the soft drinks company, will be acquired by a company called JAB Holdings for $18.7 billion, so quite a sizable acquisition there. And actually January 2018 has been the best January since 2000 for mergers and acquisitions in terms of the value of the deals that are taking place. Another two sizable ones over the last month have been one for Sanofi, the drugs company, and then one for Bacardi, the drinks company. And I think this really is a good sign. When companies are worried about the market, they don't tend to take part in mergers and acquisitions. So the fact that we're seeing so many large ones, I think does speak quite well for confidence in the market. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And looking at the US, we have had a meeting with the Federal Reserve this week. They've been talking about interest rates, and this month they have decided not to raise rates, but they did talk about the economy in very positive terms, and that has led people to assume that there is a near certainty that interest rates in the US will be raised in March. That's led to a bit of a sell-off in bonds, and therefore we have seen government bond yields in the US rising. As you can see from this chart here, this shows the US 10-year Treasury yield and how it's moved over the last 20 years. As you can see here, back in 2016 it was around about the 1.45% level, but since then it really has followed an upward trend. And we do find that bond yields do tend to move very closely in line with interest rate expectations. So this does show that people are expecting interest rates in the US to rise. So again, something to keep an eye on there. Moving on to the week ahead, so we do have a number of companies reporting. One is Church & Dwight over in the US. We've also got BP and Ocado here in the UK, and then Compass, Smith & Nephew and Expedia Group. That's it from us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.